Yo, 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 what's up, all my burners, potheads, stoners out there? This is WeedMan420 with the WeedMan420 Chronicles. How is everybody doing? I hope you're excited because you did it. The cannabis community came together and did it once again. You're proving people wrong. You're proving the naysayers wrong that cannabis should be legal and freeing the plant in this country. Before we get started, though, Mrs. Weedman, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great.
That's good to hear, Mrs. Weedman.
Yeah.
We are going to smoke first before we get into this all exciting news for this episode. We're going to smoke a strain called Runts. You like Runts candy, don't you, Mrs. Weedman?
I love them. Yeah.
You love them. So we smoked this strain for the first time last night. It was given to me by a grower, a friend of mine, to try, and it is something special. Mrs. Weedman, you want to light that up while I talk about the strain a little bit? So this strain is called Runts, as in the candy. The effects is euphoria, relaxing, reduces anxiety, reduces stress. It treats minor aches and pains. Some of the flavors, if you like candy, it does taste a little bit like candy. It's sugary, pineapple, citrus, sweet, and some fruitiness. It says to enjoy in the evening, and which we did, and it was very enjoyable in the evening. Helped me sleep very well. It's a hybrid, an indica dominant hybrid, mixed with a little Skittles and gelato, if you like gelato ice cream like we do here. So let's talk about this a little bit. It's sweet and fruity, and it's straight from the Willy Wonka chocolate factory, as I want to say. The world-famous cannabis strain is like finding the golden ticket, and yes, you can easily get yours at certain dispensaries if you can find it. It's not available everywhere, so if you can grab your hands on it, I suggest you do. It's a unique mix, like I said, of Skittles and exotic gelato, which gives the strain a very unique look and effect, just like the Runts candy. You never know exactly what color of the flavor you might get. Runts ranges from a rich, bright green to a cooling purple tone and has a fruity, sweet, and aromatic profile with subtle, earthy undertones. Runts is more than just a great-looking and tasting strain, though. It's also packed with a strong high. It's widely known of having a THC level all the way up to 29%.
Ooh.
Yeah, and most commonly used for depression, anxiety, arthritis, pain, and stress, since the sweet high can leave a person feeling relaxed, happy, euphoric, and in overall good mood. I can attest to that because I was in a great mood last night when I smoked it. It also provides a relaxing body high that is great for aches and pains. So try to find this. It's a good strain. Hopefully you can find somebody that grows it, or you can find a dispensary that carries it. Like I said, this was our first time trying it. I'm going to smoke while Mrs. Weedman says hello and tells you a little bit about how she feels.
I feel good about it. The flavor is nice. I feel like you taste more on the inhale than you do on the exhale.
See, and I found that opposite. I found more on the exhale than I did on the inhale.
Maybe more earthy on the exhale, but on the inhale, it definitely, like the description of the tutti frutti flavors. I tasted those.
Tutti frutti, fresh and fruity.
So far, I can't tell you how I feel because I just feel, well, like I'm starting to get a little cloudy.
Wow, it hit.
But last
quick.
night, we smoked it last night for the first time, and I don't remember feeling very head high as I mumble through my words. I don't feel like I was super head high. I know we were watching Schitt's Creek, and if you haven't watched Schitt's Creek, holy shit, you need to watch it.
Holy Schitt's Creek, it is. Is that funny show?
Funny.
Especially when you're baked.
My alter ego, David, he's my friend.
I think that's
I
why
need
we
to
get
know
along
that
so
guy.
well.
Yeah. Anyway, we were finding it extra funny last night after smoking.
Well, Mrs. Weedman and I are going to do a quick little cheers because we're celebrating right now the legalization of cannabis in all the states that legalize it during this election on November 3rd. So cheers. Mrs. Weedman. We're drinking a fine red Zinfandel today.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Fruity.
Ooh, a little more sweet than I like, but
I actually like it sweet, so
nice.
just like I like the Runts. And the Runts lingering in my mouth actually kind of helped that wine a little bit too. It's actually kind of nice. So all you winers out there that likes wine and weed, it's a nice Zinfandel to try. So you have all fucking spoken. The cannabis community has spoken, and I'm so excited what you guys came out and did this election. Specifically, voters approved the legalization of medical cannabis across some states. Mississippi, Dakota, Arizona, Montana, New Jersey. You guys just crushed it. And now in total, 15 states have now either enacted or have voted to enact adult use legalization laws, while 36 states have either enacted or have voted to enact medical cannabis access laws. I'm so proud of you and what you are doing. Let's read a little bit of, you can tell I'm so excited because it's going to happen. We're going to get this federally legalized with everyone out there fighting to free the plant. So Arizona Proposition 207. You guys did it. You voted almost 60% of the vote was yes. Oh, so proud of you. In D.C., they weren't doing anything with cannabis, but you decriminalized psychedelic plants at a whopping rate of almost 77%. You guys want some mushrooms, don't you? Should Mississippi allow medical cannabis? 68% said yes. You guys won that. And there's a little funny things going on right now in Mississippi with the governor and some of the legislators trying to fight that, saying a bunch of stoners wrote that law. And you know what? You fight for your right, Mississippi, for cannabis legalization. Keep on fighting for it. Should Mississippi establish a medical cannabis program? 74% of you said yes and won that vote. Montana, Joe Montana, in the Initiative 190 legalized marijuana cannabis, is 57% said yes. You won that. Congratulations, Montana. Constitutional Initiative 118 set legal age for cannabis at 21. You guys said yes to that. Good for you. Jersey, question 1 was legalized cannabis. 67% said yes. The place I was born. Doing it again for me, Jersey. Oregon, Measure 109, legalized psilocybin therapy. 56% said yes. That's awesome. That psilocybin is supposed to help with depression from what we've been reading. So, and then you guys like your drugs in Oregon. You guys said yes to decriminalize all drugs at 59%.
They're like, just fuck it all. Like, just let them have it. They want it, let them have it.
Oh,
it'll be interesting though to see if their black market really does diminish.
Well, I don't think
and
it's
then
going to
all
be
the related crimes.
All it is decriminalization. So you can't.
Oh, it's not legal.
It's not legal. So you won't get thrown in jail.
For it. Okay.
Yes, for having like a gram of coke on you or some Molly or whatever they want. So good for that.
So it's still illegal to have the drugs, but it's not illegal to have the drugs?
Right.
Okay.
Pretty good, right?
Go figure.
Yeah. Just decriminalization. Just like a lot of states that decriminalize cannabis, you can't get arrested for it. They'll just take it or give you a fine.
Okay.
So you're not going to go to jail.
Right.
It's like some states are $100 fine, $250 fine, but you're not going to do any time.
Okay, so then it'll be interesting to see how it affects their like intake of people going to prison and the court system. Like, how much does it free up time in the court system
Hopefully
by not
a
having
ton.
to? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times taxpayer dollars because you get a public defender when you go to court for something small like that. Most people can't afford to hire a personal attorney. So, all in all, decriminalizing it should really hit their like tax budgets in a positive way.
Yeah, well, it's not you're not going to have spend $25,000 or $30,000 on court fees and all that stuff.
Well, and all the time.
And if the person goes to prison and you're spending 50, 60 grand a year in him in prison,
housing them,
housing criminals and stuff like that. So basically, you get busted with some it's legal. Cannabis is legal in Oregon, but if you have some Molly on you or if you have a gram of coke, hopefully the officer just takes it and just throws it down the sewer on you. You don't go to jail and do no time. So that's pretty good, Oregon. South Dakota, man, oh man, am I proud of you. Your state did WeedMan420 proud. You legalized cannabis at a whopping 55%, said yes, and then you also legalized medical cannabis at a whopping 70%.
Wow.
You double dingdered. Ding dang double. You did it. I'm proud of you, South Dakota. It was the only state I was kind of worried about if they were going to do both. And boy, oh boy, did you do it right. I can't wait to drive through that state and stop by a dispensary and grab some cannabis on my way to the west.
To Seattle.
There you go. So I'm proud of you. The cannabis community has spoken. You guys have spoken, and I'm so, so proud. What's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years? We have the MORE Act that's going to be voted on in December. Let's see what happens there so we can decriminalize cannabis and expunge convictions for nonviolent cannabis offenders that have prevented many Americans from getting jobs, applying for credit, loans, accessing opportunities that make it possible to get ahead in our economy, and don't screw up the system and your system, because you need to live, and just because you have cannabis on you, you shouldn't go to jail. Fight for freeing the plant, and you're doing it. Senate and the House, you better vote yes, or if you don't like some stuff in there, fix it. But let's get it at least decriminalized on the federal level, because it shouldn't be, it's not, and I've said this, you've heard me say this, my lovely stoners, burners, and potheads out there, that is not a drug. It is a plant that came from the earth. So, I'm proud of you. We're going to move on, though, here. And I've been to Colorado. I've been to Denver. I've been to Colorado Springs. I've been to, what is that, where all the big rocks are? The Garden of the Gods. That place is great. If you have, go get baked and go for a walk through the Garden of the Gods. It's amazing. And I've also been to Texas. They do a lot of big things in Texas.
Everything's bigger and better.
Yeah, so they say. Except they don't have cannabis legalization in Texas.
Well, then they're not bigger and better.
And the senator I just read, who just got voted in, is going to put it on the ballot or try to get it voted in. But here's something funny. One state talking to another state, saying you can't come and take this away from my state. So, Mrs. Weedman, what are these two states fighting about?
Well, it's actually a joke. So the governor of Colorado tells the state of Texas not to legalize marijuana because he wants the tourists. So I was like, wait, what? You can't tell another state what to do. But in essence, the governor was joking. He was discouraging Texas from legalizing cannabis, saying it would mean less tax revenue for his state from cannabis tourism. So this is Governor Jared Polis, and he's the Colorado governor. He was responding to a Cannabis Moment report on a new economic analysis that showed how Texas stands to generate billions in tax revenue and tens of thousands of jobs if it enacted the policy change. The analysis might be true, the government tweeted, but it would reduce tourism in Colorado. So make sure to consider Colorado first. So he's back in his state, right? Paulus has been known to quip about the marijuana tourism dollars his state receives from non-residents. Shortly after he was sworn in last year, the governor said, "We get a lot of extra business from people coming into our state. And so, from the economic perspective in Colorado, I'd love other states to slowly legalize so that I can continue to see all of the benefits for Colorado. If I'm looking at it as a governor, I would hope that they halt their efforts, actually, and send all of their business here." So he's being sarcastic, but maybe not really. That said, despite his interest in preserving cannabis tourism for Colorado, during a Reddit Ask Me Anything session in May, he jokingly entertained the idea of using hypnosis to convince Ohio's governor to advance the legalization. Well, maybe because, the Ohio visitors aren't the Colorado visitors. I don't know, maybe he felt like there's not a lot of tourism that comes from Ohio, so he was backing them up. Or maybe he's buddies with that governor. Who knows? While he's been quick to note the economic benefits of regulating marijuana sales, Polis has also emphasized the need for restorative justice in the industry. Well, that's good. Earlier this month, he exercised new clemency powers to grant nearly 3,000 pardons for people convicted of low-level marijuana possession. Meanwhile, he's not alone in touting the fact that his state sells legal marijuana to people who live in places where it's still prohibited. Our good old buddy, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, during his State of the Union speech earlier this year, talked about his state's new recreational cannabis market, quote unquote, saying, "It gives us a chance to collect tax revenue from the residents of Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, and Indiana. And in the meantime," these are my quote unquotes, "our taxes still keep going up. Illinois is the number one state in the country when it comes to bad taxing."
Oh, gosh, tell me about it.
Overtaxing. And not saying, we don't get the benefits that they tout.
The machine.
Well then, Mr. Pritzker, I say, how about using those tax dollars to reduce our property taxes that just keep going up? Okay, I won't go on that rant. We'll save that for another day. On a side note, tax revenue from cannabis sales and all of the promises that politicians make for the states, just remember, it's not the cannabis that's the problem. I think people get angry sometimes when everything, this, that, and the other gets dog-eared as a budget item that's going to benefit from cannabis being legalized or being medically legalized. And then when those things don't happen, when the schools don't see the uptick in their budgets because they were promised money, whatever, when communities don't see it, then they blame it all on cannabis. And really, it's not cannabis. Just keep in mind, it's the politicians.
Dan.
And that's all. Step off my soapbox.
Very nice soapbox, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Today is the United States Marine Corps birthday. And it's near and dear to our heart because we have a son, and you all know him. He's been on the show. Paulie, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, Paulie. But it is their birthday today, so in honor of the Marine Corps, I'm going to talk about a vet. And we fight for the legalization of cannabis. We fight to free the plant. We also fight for nonviolent crime victims due to cannabis. This wasn't really a crime. This is wrong, okay? So I'm going to read this article to you done by ABC News. School district fires Marine vet over medical cannabis use. A Florida high school dean has been fired for using medical cannabis that was prescribed to treat his PTSD he incurred in the Marines. Ocala, Florida. Sorry, Ocala. I love you. Near and dear to my heart. A Florida high school dean has been fired after he tested positive for cannabis, even though it has been prescribed for him by a doctor to treat post-traumatic stress disorder he incurred in the Marines. I don't know if everybody knows this, but a lot of people in the military who've seen active duty have PTSD, and cannabis has been there to help them along the way. So, the Marion County School Board voted 5-0 Wednesday to fire Mike Hickman, saying that while medical cannabis is legal in Florida, it is illegal under federal law. Its use violates district policy, and he failed to notify his supervisor he was using it. The Central Florida District offered to suspend Hickman, 51, if he agreed not to use medical cannabis in the future. But the 10-year employee refused. You know why? Because cannabis has been known to help PTSD.
It works for him, and he probably doesn't want to have to take prescription meds.
It says it in this article. Mark Levitt, an attorney who represents current Superintendent Diane Gullett, told the board Gullett agrees with her predecessor decision, and Hickman's military service should not cloud their judgment. That's real nice of you. Hickman fought in Iraq during the Gulf Storm 30 years ago, and he's using cannabis to help him instead of meds.
Good.
He was given the opportunity to stop using it, Levitt said. Hickman's attorney, Mark Herdman, told the Ocala Star-Banner, it is just another unfortunate decision handed down by the Marion County School Board to fire yet another good employee. Hickman argued it was unfair that he legally could have kept using the opioid painkiller he took before switching to cannabis because it was more effective and has fewer side effects. Chris Altobello, an executive director of the Marion County Teachers Union, told the paper in a text message that Hickman was no more impaired than someone who took an aspirin for a headache. They implied that it is tantamount to smoking pot in the boys' bathroom. The district learned of Hickman's use 1 year ago when he was injured breaking up a fight at the Bellevue High School. A workers' compensation doctor who treated Hickman discovered the drug in a urine test and notified the district. Don't take a urine test if you go to the doctor, if you're using cannabis and you work for the state and the federal government. Imagine this employee just sat back and let the two students continue to fight without regard for their safety. We wouldn't be here right now, Altobello said. So, my feelings on this, you don't want me to use a lot of F-bombs like I want to right now, but I'm not going to, because this is absolutely wrong, in my opinion. Wrong. If he was using it in his own home, not during working hours, let him use it. If he was doing it during school and it was a rule that he wasn't allowed to use medical cannabis without permission from the school, I understand. But would you want the guy taking 2 or 3 or 4 Norcos or Oxycontins and falling asleep in the middle of the class slurring?
Why is that even okay? Right.
So, in my opinion, they need to look this over thoroughly And if the federal government gets involved and decriminalizes this, and the states get involved now because the federal government has loosened up regulations and laws, this man here would not be fired for a plant that he uses. It is a plant. It is not a drug, okay? So it helped him by smoking it to keep his PTSD down. So, because you guys and gals all out there know, if you know anything about PTSD, sometimes it gives them a little brain trauma to where sometimes they go a little crazy. And the cannabis has been proved to help PTSD to keep them calm and sane and be able to manage their life. Not being on Oxycontin or narcos or narcotics, or eventually when you can't get that shit anymore and you wind up shooting a needle in your arm. Okay? And this teacher, this man we should respect, and I'm pissed off at that article too, saying that his military background should not be looked at. He's a war hero. He fought in the Gulf War 30 years ago. And this is how we're treating?
Right. Well, it's been years of that happening.
It's wrong.
It is.
So I would love to talk to this gentleman. I don't know, maybe if I can reach out to him or reach out to his lawyer and get him on the show so he could tell his story. If anybody listens in Florida that knows this gentleman, have him reach out to us on our Instagram or email us. Does this man deserve to have his story heard around the world? So it's wrong, and I'm pissed. And Marion County School Board, you're lucky you don't have thousands of burners, stoners, and potheads in front of your door right now asking why. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Mrs. Weedman, I know because we do have Maria in our family and stuff like that, and as I get a little teary-eyed here and getting a little mad, it hurts to see this.
Well, we know that there's a big gap in the need and the needs being met of our veterans and our military members. So we know that there's always a demand for their health care and their emotional and physical well-being, and our government doesn't really supply them with adequate care. And cannabis is just time after time found to be such a resourceful tool for them, a healthy option for them, and really anybody who has PTSD. But right now we're specifically talking about our military veterans and the fact that they can take cannabis and get back to a functioning life is a whole different story than when they're medicated. They can't operate, they can't function, they can't have a job because it just ruins their lives. So if cannabis allows them to continue their life and their life and thrive and have a manageable, healthy life, why is it even a conversation? And this man is obviously educated. He's obviously capable. He's in a position that is not easy to acquire and attain. He's a principal, a high school principal.
He was a dean.
I mean, that doesn't come without a huge work ethic and a huge capability and a devotion to what you're studying to achieve and working to achieve. And to strip his career from him over cannabis is just ridiculous. So, yeah. Hopefully he
I had to step away from the mic for a second. Thank you, Mrs. Weedman, for taking over. Got my composure back. My burners, stoners, and potheads. I was getting a little upset there, and I love you all, and I love our military men who are retired, who are still in active duty. Whether you agree with it or not, that's your opinion and you're right. But if you see a vet or if you see somebody in the military, thank them. Okay? Illinois, your stores have sold more than $500 million worth of cannabis products, the state announces.
Recreational?
Yes. Since January.
Jeez.
Since January, I mean, it's just absolutely, it's gone up every month. In-state resident sales. And hey, all you out-of-state resident sales, thank you very much for spending $20 million in the month of October.
20 million.
Just in October. In-state residents have spent $54 million for a total of $75 million, and it's increased every month. We're not going down at all. I mean, just you guys are just 500 million mark since the start of the year.
Wow.
So we'll hit $1 billion. Things go right.
Yeah.
which would it exceeds over $100 million so far in tax revenue. I don't know where all the tax money's going, and I know I've read the laws a few times, and I'm going to be taking my next course I'm going to be taking is about cannabis law in Illinois and also around the country. Right now, I'm taking pharmacology, which is a good course, but we'll get off that for a second. I can't wait to take the law one because I really want to dive more into where all the tax revenue is going to go, because right now people are going to lose their homes with the shutdown coming again.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to start losing jobs again or getting laid off or furloughed. Unemployment's not going to be there. They need to make sure people who need their home, food, clothing, shelter, whatever.
Just think about that. So $100 million in tax revenue for the state of Illinois just since January, $100 million. And since March 13th, we've been on a essential government shutdown of sorts. And I wonder what the accumulated debt is from all of the unemployed people that are, unemployed due to COVID. And could that $100 billion from cannabis sales help support those people and the restaurants that are struggling right now? And all the wait, let me finish. I see you getting ready to talk.
No, go ahead.
If that what I'm saying is the income from cannabis in the state of Illinois right now specifically is very new, and we've functioned as a state prior to that for an indefinite period of time. Well, a definite period of time, but obviously historically we functioned as a state without that revenue, right? So it's a very recent budget income and expense line items, right? Like they've got this money and it's Illinois, so they've probably spent $200 billion because we have $100 billion coming in, and that's how we operate here. But anyway, it's new money, right? So whatever programs they determined that money would go to,
I just pulled up the laws.
Right. But they haven't really experienced having that money yet. So couldn't they just hold off on that until we get COVID under control and use if they used the cannabis tax revenue alone to help compensate for all of the loss that people are suffering right now? I wonder if it could just be a wash.
Probably.
And look at that.
Right.
Like boom. And then, go back to whatever they've marked as
25% of the tax dollars collected are designated for restorative justice grants, while other funds will support substance misuse and mental health treatment.
They're saying 25% is paying for restorative
grants
for people that have been
restorative justice grants. It says here, while other funds will support substance
I'd love
misuse
to see that they're
and mental
really
health
spending
treatment.
that much on it.
The other part, though, the state announced in May that it was making about $31 million in social equity grants available to communities identified as economically distressed.
That's good.
That's very good. So that's all it really says here. I got to go more into it, everybody.
Right. But again, it's new income.
Right.
That those programs are new because the income is here. So they could hold off on those programs maybe a year and use the tax revenue to help support all of the people that are really hurting right now and need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it should be looked at that way. Yeah. You're getting this extra income. Use it to feed people, home people.
Help them
pay their bills right now. It's going to be a lot. We're making it easy. I mean,
well, of course.
But what people did with that $1,200 stimulus check is they probably spent it on weed.
Well, I'm sure not all of it. People had to pay some bills.
Right. Spent it into the economy and stuff like that. But
ooh, I just yawned. I think that weed made me sleepy.
It is for nighttime.
Sorry.
I know why Illinois has raised so much money in revenue, and why not just taxes, but why we're at $500 million in recreational use. The average cost of cannabis in Illinois for an eighth is still about $80.
On the street?
No.
Oh.
In dispensaries. Legal, yes. And, customers wait in lines. According to industry analysis, Illinois has the most expensive weed in the country.
Of course.
So in some other states, it's like in Colorado, the same amount costs around $33.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy schmoly.
Yeah. Taxes are different there, and, it's been around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
It's been legal there for a while now. So we know, and some things that are going on here in Illinois, a lot of dispensaries, a lot of the cultivators weren't ready for this. A lot of them had spent a lot of money, so they're trying to recoup some of their costs back. So, but $80 an eighth is a lot. And, a lot of these places aren't making the money yet back. So they're still paying, the taxes are still high as hell for recreational. And what the dispensaries have to pay is like 45% on some kind of a tax of their revenue. Cultivators, the same thing. But dispensaries are getting whacked. So do I blame them from charging $80 an eighth? And you've heard me talk about this before. I don't blame them, and I know it's not their fault because how much money they had to spend and keep on spending to stay open, but you're still making a lot of money, okay? You're making a lot of money. If you charged $60 an eighth or $55 an eighth, that's a reasonable price.
Well, we'll get there.
Eventually.
We need to saturate the market more with more cultivations. I mean, right
it's not
now,
only just Illinois, though.
No, I know. But like you said, Colorado's program is much more established, and look at their price. Right?
Yeah.
So
Ohio, though, is having some problems right now. And this is medical cannabis patients. They're saying prices are high, and there's very few options. So even Ohio is seeing this kind of stuff, and there's concerns going on there right now. Is it going to be enough to keep the medical industry going, and what's Ohio going to do?
Is Ohio just medical?
Yeah, just medical for right now.
Well, then maybe that's like a couple of years ago when Illinois wasn't recreational and it was medical, and when they first started opening in dispensaries, then there was a lot of inconsistency in product, right? Because there were just so few cultivation centers, and there were so few everything, right?
So, but I mean, back in 2019 in Ohio, an ounce was $480, and it has gone down. As in October of this year, the average cost now is $300. So they've seen a little decrease. But it's still pretty expensive. So, and they're complaining there. Here's something cool, though. Pennsylvania, who the governor there is trying to fight for fully legalizing cannabis because he knows the tax revenue will help the state out tremendously. The House votes to protect medical cannabis patients from DUI charges. That's cool. Good for you, Pennsylvania. Keep on going. Get it legalized there. Jersey calls for immediate end to cannabis arrests and prosecution since they went fully legal. Good for you, Jersey, the place I was born. If you want to work for the DEA, actually really not working for them, but if you want to be an independent contractor who can incinerate 8,000 pounds of cannabis per day, if you want to burn some weed.
That's serious burn.
Yeah, you can apply for it.
Why are they burning it?
Because it's cannabis that they get probably from they get from the raids and cartels.
Can't they compost it, or what, can't they still use it?
No, because it's illegal federally, and it's the DEA. They can't do anything with it, so they just burn it.
That's terrible.
But you got to have a clean record. You can't smoke cannabis, but you probably make a hell of a lot of money. You can make some really good money. I mean, you're doing 8,000 pounds a day,
like nonstop, for a long time.
Incineration.
Just a big oven. You need a big oven with a big chimney.
I would just want to burn it.
What are we waiting for? Let's go open up an incinerator.
No, because I would cry burning all that cannabis. I would cry and cry and cry, and then I would have you wear.
Can we just smoke a little on the side?
Have you wear your Mrs. Weedman costume that says "fuck the DEA" on it.
We could have volunteers that come by and they just inhale the smoke.
It's a sad day. A sad day. But if you want to work for the DEA, have at it. Just thought it was kind of crazy that they're burning 8,000 pounds of cannabis per day.
Burn it.
They burn it right now. They're not.
Like just in your fireplace in your living room.
That'd be kind of cool.
Bring in another wheelbarrow.
Hey, Mrs. Weedman.
What?
You know, this year, it's been a very long year.
Sure. Yeah.
It's been so long. It feels like a fucking Grateful Dead song.
Yeah.
And you know,
like it's never gonna end.
It's never gonna end. I love Grateful Dead. One of my favorite songs growing up as a kid was Truckin', because that was like the first song I remember back in the 70s. My dad playing it in the blue station wagon we owned. So I do love Grateful Dead, but it does this year feels like a Grateful Dead song. Very long. But something cool about God rest his soul, Jerry Garcia. Mrs. Weedman, take it away.
Yep. Jerry Garcia's family is launching a new cannabis line called Garcia Handpicked, or GHP, honoring the singer's long-standing advocacy for the legalization of weed, while giving fans something new to celebrate Garcia's free-spirited legacy. This is a collaboration between the late singer's family and Holistic Industries, a private, multi-state cannabis operator in the U.S. The officially licensed partnership launches with 3 strains of flower in addition to pre-rolls and guitar-shaped edibles. So we were just talking about Carlos Santana.
Yep.
He is doing the same thing. So this product will be available in California dispensaries, again, just like the Carlos Santana products, beginning in November.
Why does California get all the good stuff?
I know, they get all the good stuff. While the Grateful Dead singer was known to be a proponent of cannabis, those close to Garcia have said that he really rarely smoked weed by himself. I thought that was kind of interesting. Instead, it was more of a social interaction, whether after a show, on a tour bus, or in the recording studio. A joint became a bridge between him and those around him, explains Trixie Garcia, his daughter and the spokesperson for the Garcia family. Trixie went on to say that the family wanted to release a cannabis line to honor her father's longstanding advocacy for the legalization of weed, while giving fans something new to celebrate Garcia's spirit and legacy. The family says it wanted to create a spontaneous and harmonious cannabis experience to bring people together in a way only Jerry could. While Holistic had originally planned to launch the line during the summer festival season, the coronavirus pandemic has put those plans on hold. The company's new rollout will see the brand traveling up and down the California coast in a custom tricked-out Airstream dubbed Bertha, after the opening track on Grateful Dead's 1971 Skull and Roses LP. Fans who want to track Bertha's whereabouts can find more about it online at GarciaHandpicked.com.
Jerry. Wrong. Jerry.
I got to see Grateful Dead with Jerry Garcia at Soldier Field in Chicago.
Lucky.
I know. It was fun.
Well, California, good for you getting that line. Another good product line. Good luck with the Garcia family, and still feels like a very long Grateful Dead song in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
International news, East Africa become a major cannabis export hub.
It's going to be like coffee, you know? Like I like South American coffee. And I like Hawaiian coffee. So I'll have to find out, like once everything goes federally legal and we can like have like little dispensaries with, like think about that. You could have like little dispensaries that have flavors from around. It'll be like your local coffee shop, right?
Yeah, eventually.
And I want an Ethiopian one, or I want a Sumatra, right?
I like cannabis and coffee.
I know.
In the morning.
No, I'm saying like the cannabis will be kind of versed like that.
Eventually,
like this is an
once
Italian
it goes world.
an
What's going to
Italian
have to happen
seed.
is I truly believe this. Once the United States of America goes fully legal and gets everything off the federal schedule, we just take it off of it. It's not on anything. It's just a plant that you can grow and smoke. Just, you know, there'll be some
the
laws.
opportunities.
There'll be some laws and stuff like that we have to abide by, but just get it off. Once the United States does it, the United Nations will take a look and say if the United States of America does it, then because don't forget, it at one time was globally illegal.
Right.
Okay. So with the United Nations behind it and all the countries coming together, making it a plant to use medically around the world, studied.
It'll be like wine. It'll be like, I mean, seriously, you'll have like varieties from around the world.
It could possibly be a globally $1 trillion industry in probably 20 years.
Yeah.
$1 trillion, maybe more. So, but you have to get one country, like Uruguay is fully legal. You know, there's a couple other countries. Uruguay was the first,
Denmark?
though. They only have it in the coffee shops. It's not legal in the whole country. It's just basically decriminalized. But if you had somebody like the United States join Uruguay, and then Israel, which is looking to do it this year also or next year, if you have 4 or 5 countries do it, the United Nations is just going to say it's going to be a world commodity. And then it's just going to be games on. I mean, if you look here, East Africa, okay? Uganda, potentially to make $264 million in exporting cannabis.
Wow.
For a country like that. Kenya can possibly make, what did it say, a couple $100 million in the beginning. Tanzania, same thing. So they're talking about billions of dollars just coming out of those 3 countries in Africa to export. And here's what I'm going to say, Africa. Don't let anybody come in and steal your money.
Or your land.
Or your land. You hold that cannabis to your country. You grow strains that nobody in the world can grow, and you do it yourselves. Don't let any outside companies come in and take it over. You do it and keep the commodity to yourself, and you make the money and become rich for your country. Do it, okay?
Go Kenya.
Go Kenya. Go Africa. New Zealand, damn, I'm pissed at you. Narrowly rejects cannabis legalization. They lost by like 50.
New Zealand?
Yeah, remember we were talking
Is it
about
very
it?
conservative?
No, it's
No?
just, I don't know.
Just different?
Just different. They had a chance to do something great and they failed. They got it medically, but just.
Is it legal in Australia?
Medically. Israeli government, like I said, is about to recommend federally legalizing adult use cannabis. Go Israel. Beer and cannabis kind of go hand in hand, especially craft beer. I've said this before. I feel that the cannabis industry in the beginning was much like the craft beer industry, but you let the corporations get in too fast. Okay? So one day the craft growers will come back again, which there are a lot out there, but a big cannabis company out of Canada bought Sweetwater Brewery out of Georgia, which is all their beers are named after cannabis. Like they have the 420 beer, they have the Hempen High, whatever it's called, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, they spent $300 million, and they're pretty excited about incorporating Sweetwater with their cannabis line, and they're going to do some cool stuff. So, and they're out of Georgia, and they do a 420 party every year and stuff like that. So on 420, so they've been doing it a long time. That being said, cannabis and beer, wine and beer, coffee and cannabis, the C and C in the morning, the beer and the cannabis at night, or we're drinking wine.
CCBC?
There you go. You got it. So, something sad. Very, very sad. Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
Passed away at 80.
He was a really, really, really cool guy.
Really cool
Super, super humble.
Yes.
And intelligent and freaking dedicated to his work and a huge philanthropist. He gave so much. And there was a final interview that was recorded, I think like in July or something like that. And him just recognizing like he knew his time was coming. And he was just so
at peace with it.
Yeah, like he was okay with it. He just an impressive guy overall, just a super great guy.
He lived a great life.
Yeah,
I mean, got to
and contestants on Jeopardy, like they just think the world of him.
I mean, we've been watching.
He's a life changer. He's a life changer.
We've been watching Jeopardy on and off our whole basically almost my whole entire life. You know, you go to bars and they have Jeopardy days where the bars open at 4 and people are watching Jeopardy, and I mean. It's something special. It's a special show. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy. I just enjoyed watching because I learned stuff, you know. But I mean, what was that guy that just like went on for like how many weeks?
Yeah,
and,
I don't know.
Mean,
yes,
it was like everybody was watching it for weeks to see if he was going to be the winner of it all, you know. So be the #1 guy ever. So pretty good. But funny story. He was interviewed on Howard Stern in 2015 and talked about how he ate 4 to 5 pot brownies back in 1970 at a friend's house that he went. He just moved to California. Never like knew about cannabis. Didn't even know that they could put cannabis in brownies. And he loves chocolate and ate 4 to 5 of them. He spent all the way till Monday in the friend's bed and didn't move. Comatose.
He probably didn't know what was going on.
No, not at all.
I just ate the brownies.
He spent 3 days and just sleeping off the unexpected high.
That's funny.
I mean, 4 or 5 pot brownies.
Yeah.
You don't know what the dosage is back then. People would just throw as much butter as they could in there.
He probably thought he was like,
oh my God, yeah. So
on another planet.
Yeah. So, and he wasn't a big, you know, he didn't smoke a lot of cannabis after that, you know, but it was a funny story in honor of him today because, you know, he just passed away at 80 and God rest your soul, Alex, and we'll miss you on Jeopardy, that's for sure. I wonder who's going to take his place. They should
just end the show.
You think so? There'll be a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah.
You got to keep it going. In memory of him.
Who could do that, though?
It better be somebody good, and it better not be Jimmy Kimmel.
It can't be a comedian.
It can't be Jimmy Kimmel.
No comedian.
He's on everything right now.
Yeah, no.
So I want somebody who's got a cool, deep voice, you know, somebody who's like known but not so known, you know, not a superstar. He's got to build his way over the years because he's got to he's taking over for Alex Trebek.
Shit,
I mean, come
got
on.
some big shoes to
Yeah.
fill.
So
Well, it was like when Drew Carey took over on The
Drew
Price is Right.
Carey-
There was like probably about 6 or 8 months where it was like, oh, this
Yeah,
is not
yeah,
going well.
100%.
And then all of a sudden it like clicked for him and he got in his groove and he's like, all right, I don't have to try to be
You can't be Bob Barker. You
I
can't
can just be
Bob
me.
Barker.
I can just be
Right.
me and do this show. And then it was like, boom, that
Right.
was it.
He clicked
It
it.
was great.
So
It was
hopefully
great.
they find somebody good or somebody that we can watch and grow into the just like we watched Alex our whole life, you
Yeah.
know. So good luck with the show, Jeopardy. Don't end it. Give it a little rest for a little bit and then come back strong.
I think there were like 30 or 40 episodes that he had recorded since COVID
really
that haven't aired yet.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys got 30
So
or
we'll
40
have
episodes.
something like that. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
They
but
should save one of them and play it like 20 years down the road. When
Well,
we're
he
all,
had
in our
said-
60s and 70s.
Yeah, he had said in an earlier interview in the year that, like, I think the interviewer had asked him when he would stop working, and he said, I will know when I need to stop working. And he's like, well, how will you end the show? And he's like, I've already talked to my producers, and they know that they're going to give me 30 seconds at the end of when I say that day, like, this is my day.
Oh,
They're all gonna
That's
know.
gonna be so awesome.
I know, but I don't know when that's going to be.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
So
sure.
I don't
they'll-
know if it's a pre-recorded message or if
sure-
it didn't happen.
I'm sure it'll be all over the news
don't know.
once they show it and air it. I mean, he's a legend. He's the
I don't
goat.
know
He's
if
a
it
goat.
happened. I
He's a
don't-
goat, greatest
Right.
of all time. So,
Yep.
I don't watch basketball like I used to, but I used to enjoy watching Sean Kemp play when I did watch basketball a lot. And he was a beast on the basketball court.
Who did he play for?
He played for the Seattle Supersonics.
Uh-huh.
He was a beast. Oh my
Beast.
God, he would dunk, and every time you thought the net was going to fold, and he was just a beast on the court. Anyway, opened up his first cannabis dispensary in Seattle last Friday, which is pretty cool. And he's one of the few black-owned cannabis stores in the city.
That's
so good for Mr. Kemp. He's about wanting to help the cannabis industry, which is dominated by white males, and he wants to open it up for everybody. Not just he wants everybody to have a piece of the pie.
That's great.
Which is awesome. Way
That's
to
the way
go,
it should
Mr.
be.
Kemp. And you were a beast when you played for the Seattle Supersonics. Mad respect on the court and now off the court. So keep on fighting the fight in Seattle and actually we're going to be
We're
out.
gonna be out there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go visit his
We're going to go
store.
visit your store. Hopefully I get to meet you. And we'll go out there a couple weeks. I'm pretty excited. So I've been smoking cannabis for a long time, and since I was 13. And the first time I saw cannabis, first time I smelled cannabis, I was 5. The first time I saw a joint,
You remember that?
I was 8 because it was such a good smell.
Mhm.
And the first time I saw a joint being passed around, I was 8 because they passed it to me and let me hold it to pass it to the next person. And I tried to put it in my mouth and smoke it. And they
You a
slapped that
little
out of my
punk.
hand. I was
You're
a little punk.
punk.
I was a little punk. Cannabis has been in my life. My dad smoked it. My uncles all smoked it. My aunts all smoked it. They're all a bunch of hippie stoners back in the 70s and 60s, and they loved cannabis. It was always around.
Mm-hmm.
So it was bred in me.
Yes.
Probably went through my dad's sperm and went into my mom.
Okay.
And I came out
All
cannabis.
right. Too much information.
Sorry. Anyway, here's the thing.
Jeez Louise.
Mrs. Weedman and I have been together a long time. You've heard her talk about she wasn't a big cannabis smoker, but now she is. And I think one day she might consume more cannabis than me.
Well, that's
Well,
possible.
What do you think?
I kind of was like at the beginning of the show, you asked me how I felt about the weed I smoked last night that we also smoked at the start of the show. And I had a hard time remembering it because sometimes I smoke and like a half hour later, I feel like I'm not even high anymore. I feel like nothing, which means my tolerance has greatly increased. So if I have
You're taking as many hits as I am now.
I'm up to
That's
like
impressive.
yeah, I take like 3 hits now. I was at like 1 hit for a very, very,
All
very
right, so
long
I take
time.
4 to 5,
Yeah.
but you do.
Yeah.
You
I
went
take
from
th-
one.
I don't take more than 3.
You went from 1 to
Mhm.
2. Now you're 3. But
3.
we do. We were in the basement set. We're doing it in the basement session. We're talking and stuff like that. So we smoke. We have a nice conversation, and we smoke another hit.
and then
we
sometimes I go for a third.
third, and I'm going on a 4th and the 5th, and we have the birds down here.
But a half hour later, I feel like after I've eaten everything under the sun in the kitchen on the way going up to our room, yeah,
Snacks.
snacks. It's like a mental thing. It's
you,
not
you in Vegas snack
Yeah.
time every night when we walk from the
It's
basement to
awful.
the kitchen.
It's just a bad habit. It really has nothing to do with being high. It's just that it's like you just correlate like smoke weed, eat snacks. So in my brain, it means you have to eat snacks. So I have to stop in the kitchen. Even if I don't have the munchies, I feel like I'm obligated to snack. So anyway, what was my point? I think my tolerance and my consumption could surpass yours in the near future.
I agree, because you're becoming an animal smoker,
I'm
baby.
an
Just give me that bowl. Is it packed yet?
Oh, shut up.
Just kidding, everybody. Just kidding.
Smoke once a day. All right. Well, anyway, I've got an article here that's pretty interesting, and it is titled, Do Women Consume More Cannabis Than Men? Haha, how about that? I think that was very, like, whoa, wait, I got to read that. So the short answer to this question is men do now, but women are quickly catching up when it comes to how much they spend on cannabis. This has been a very recent trend and was observed in the first quarter of Cannabis Statistics 2020. If the current trend continues, women may actually outspend and probably consume more cannabis than men in the U.S. by sometime in 2021.
Hell yeah, go women.
Go
Hell yeah, go women. Woo woo!
Smoke. There are likely several reasons why this is happening. First, let's take a look at some of the data, and then I'm going to go over like a couple reasons that this might be happening. So data shows in the month of March, women increased their spending on cannabis by approximately 50%. This is not just talking about Illinois. This is talking about the U.S. So across the board in legal states, women are increasing their spending by 50% in the month of March alone, which was part in due to lockdowns in most parts of the U.S. However, men did not see a similar increase. Interesting. So, yeah, that's way cool. Specifically, women between the ages of 18 and 55 increased their cannabis spending across all product categories.
Damn.
Women spent 39 to 40% of their dollars on either flower and vape, about 12% on edibles, and a much smaller number, just 8% on
Ooh,
concentrates.
I thought edibles would have been a lot more.
I know. I thought women would have been edibles and then vape and then flower. Right? Because nobody wants to smoke and they think vape is safer. So clearly, women prefer both smoking flower and vaping over edibles and concentrates.
Flower power.
These preferences are pretty similar for men. Their clear winner is vaping, which is interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. Flower is their clear winner, and then vaping, and then concentrates, and then edibles, which that makes sense to me. The breakdown of women's spending habits on cannabis products is interesting, but the reasons why women have begun to spend so much more than previously deserve some analysis. Likely one of the biggest reasons women are on track to outspend men when it comes to cannabis is the existence of marijuana dispensaries. In states where cannabis is legal for medical and or recreational use dispensaries that cater to a wide range of customers and patients, they've opened over the years. And of course, this trend will continue as more and more states are predicted to legalize cannabis. Women enjoy the process of visiting a dispensary, looking at a menu, and making their selections. Talking with a knowledgeable bud tender is also part of the dispensary experience. Even dispensaries that have moved most of their service to pickup or delivery still offer a good online experience that women really enjoy. As we see more niche dispensaries opening in the coming months and years, women will likely become more selective when it comes to what type of dispensary they prefer.
It's not going to be a kind of line dispensary where, like, you're just like cattle. Mm-hmm. Women want experience.
Yes. We want to go in. I want to look in the jewelry case at the bud jars.
You don't want to be rushed
right.
in and out.
No, I hate that.
Right.
I don't like.
And that's the one thing about some dispensaries that I've been to. Some are super cool. It's more of an experience. Like, you've been to Planet 13.
Yeah, that's an experience.
That's an experience, and I think women enjoy going there. I haven't been there yet, so I don't know. But you told me how cool it was.
That's in Las Vegas.
But I've been to Electric Lettuce in Portland, which the experience was great. They didn't rush you in and out. It wasn't busy. You actually had someone walking with you through the store. And if you had any questions or they asked you want to smell something, that was an experience. I'm not going to dog my dispensary I go to now. When I first started going there,
it was an experience.
It was an experience. Now I understand.
You got to get people
rec
in.
and medical.
Right.
You need to separate the two because medical patients need time. And they do give you time. They do talk to you.
But sometimes they're busy.
They're busy.
And they can't.
And they're very good at what they do, and I love them to death. I like the old way of going there. They had couches. You could sit and talk with the bud tenders.
All the buds were on display, like in the jewelry. It was like a jewelry case.
Yes, but they didn't have like them out and
no,
open.
No. But there'd be a glass jar in there, and you could see the bud.
Absolutely.
And you could see all the vapes.
Now it's totally.
It's a McDonald's board.
Yes,
a menu board.
Yes, and it's which is fine. I understand why you have to do it. And
nothing's
on
display anymore,
no,
right?
Not at all. Yeah. So the edibles and stuff like that, and the empty
just
canisters
the packaging.
and stuff. Yes, but I want for me as a medical patient, I want the experience. I want to be able to talk with my bud tender like I used to for 10, 15, 20 minutes and be able to spend time with them. And I get it. They need to make money. Separate the two. Like take recreational out of the building and like make another building.
Or for people that want that, you make an appointment. You get a 20-minute session or a 15-minute session, but that's by appointment. And then everybody else that wants to crank, get it done.
To me, though,
not everybody wants it.
I was like going to see my favorite bartender.
Right.
And that's what it was like for me. Go in, high five, talk, maybe, give them like talk about not just about cannabis, but talk about the industry, talk about what they, just get to know each other and stuff like that. And now it's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm busy, but good to see you. We'll talk next time you come in. I know you're not gonna be able to talk to me, so I get it. Go ahead, Mrs. Weedman.
Sorry, we forgot we were talking about an article, right?
Right.
For now, though, just the ability to purchase cannabis in a safe environment is proving the magic formula to encourage women to spend on cannabis. Another biggie is education. Women generally take pride in educating themselves about any product they buy, and until recently, when the cannabis industry became more easily accessible with dispensaries and websites out in the open, women have felt more comfortable to do the necessary research and then to use the knowledge when spending their money. In terms of cannabis lifestyle, it has become much more mainstream than ever before, and that will continue to be the case. Many women, especially mothers, had previously been hesitant to make cannabis a part of their lifestyle, until recently, that is. Now it is fast becoming not just socially acceptable for women to consume cannabis, but preferred, in many cases, to drinking alcohol. Everyone has been feeling their stress and anxiety levels increase in recent months, and with a new normal emerging for the near future, cannabis has become the preferred method for women to manage their stress. Certainly healthier than prescription medication or alcohol, and now much easier and safer to obtain. Woohoo! All right, ladies, just keep going green. Really, and that is the cool thing. Like it's becoming mainstream for sure. Not in every situation, but it's getting there. It's making headway. People are learning more about it. And really, as a mom, I would have much preferred when our kids were being raised. Maybe every couple of years I went out and I had a fun night out with the girls and got saucy, right? And then couldn't function for the entire weekend. If I had just gone out and had fun and danced and heard music and smoked, I would have been perfectly fine the next day. It would have been amazing. So as a parent raising kids, I think weed is much more family friendly.
Well, as more of us get educated and as women take over the world one day, which they should, you're going to see them owning the industry more and more and make it more not just mainstream, but make it, I think, more go back to when cannabis was underground, but underground cool. Because it's legal and you can do it that way and make it fashionable. And I know there's some fashion going on right now, but I think women with being able to do this and be able to get in the industry on a fair playing level is huge. Mm-hmm. So women, it's open for the taking. Look, we always talk about nature's grace and all women's cultivator. You have a chance to get into an industry in states that aren't even open yet from the ground up. Go and do it if you want it. You can do it. So, hey, I was watching Saturday Night Live on Saturday, and it kind of moved me. One of my favorite comedians and actors and just overall person is Dave Chappelle, and he gave a speech. He was throwing some comedy out there, and he was making fun of himself, but he threw some great lines out there. And if you have a chance, go on Hulu or wherever it's on, you can rewatch his. But also the Foo Fighters did an awesome performance, and they sung Times Like These as their final song, which absolutely they should have, because it was perfect.
And the way he sang it.
Yeah, he sung it.
Like,
and
amazing.
I've been singing the song in my head since Saturday, and I've seen him. We've seen him. I got to see him once in Louisville with Mrs. Weedman. It was amazing.
Oh,
But
what
I'm
a
just
great
going to
concert.
read these 4 lines to you, and just in case if you didn't see him, I'm going to read it because I can't sing. I only sing one song, and it's by the Toadies. It's the only time you'll ever catch me do karaoke. But I'm going to read this to you because it moved me, and I think y'all need to hear it. So listen to the song, but here's the words. It's times like these you learn to live again. It's times like these you give and give again. It's times like these you learn to love again. And it's times like these, time and time again. So I'm going to end the show on that. My burners, stoners, and potheads, I love you all so, so much. And I'm proud of you for all the states that voted yes. I'm proud of you and keep on fighting the good fight. Thank you for everything. And I love you, and be kind and love one another out there. We need it more than ever. Be strong and safe with one another and take care of one another. Okay? And check us out on all of our, we're on all the platforms at WeedMan420 Chronicles. Instagram, WeedMan420 Chronicles. On Twitter, it's WeedMan420 Pod. Shoot us some DMs, shoot us some messages, and then you can also email us at WeedMan420Chronicles@gmail.com. Thank you. I love you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff, puffing away.